Hello, welcome to SKTV. You're watching the Manipur Files. In an effort to cater to a larger crowd, we at SKTV will try and bring you an English debate at least once a week, if not more. And today we're discussing about the current election amidst the ongoing violence. In less than a couple of weeks from now, it'll be exactly 1 year since the violence broke out in Manipur. To discuss more on this, to give you an understanding from all angles, we have with us PRADIP PHANJOUBAM, editor of Imphal Review Arts and Politics. PRADIP, welcome. We also have SONAMANI POTSANGBAM, who is socio-political commentator. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Last but not the least, we also have MONTU, AHANTHEM, who is a social activist. Welcome to the show. MONTU, let's start from you. Amidst the violence, the ongoing violence that started about a year ago, we've had violence in the poll as well. And as we've learned, 11 polling stations are going to go on a repoll tomorrow. So let's elaborate more on this, Tamo, from your angle. How do you look at this? How do you look at the violence that went on during the poll itself?
I think that this scenario which we are having right now is something which has been seen in Bihar and UP.
Right.
And I think most of my views are being shared by many of our colleagues in my circle at least. So I see that this train which is coming is not very going to be very fruitful and is going to take Manipur way back. I think we are, because of this violence, we have gone way back.
Right.
I think around 50 to 60 years and more, maybe more than that. And this kind of election which is being conducted in terms of using forces,
right,
I think this is not going to lead us anywhere. And I think that the present situation where on 22 the repolling is going to take place in 11 what you call polling stations. So I think now such violence, such act of Buddhism should not be repeated. I think this is what I think.
That's an appeal from MONTU.
Yeah.
In the future, such violence shouldn't take place. Just for our viewers' knowledge, I'm sure everyone's aware of it. The 11 polling stations going to repoll tomorrow are 2 in Khurai Assembly Constituency, 4 in Khetrigao, 1 each in Thongju and Kontokjam, and 3 in Uripok. Here I would like to draw a comparison, Oja Sonamani. Having served in Nagaland for so long, I'm sure you're aware that entire 6 districts in Nagaland did not go to poll. I mean, officially it was there, but zero turnout. And I'm trying to draw the unity here. In Manipur, we've been facing this crisis for almost 1 year now, as I mentioned earlier. And there were sections of society, some said, no, we're not going to take part in this election. Some said, you should just go vote for Nota. I mean, there were different, different views from different angles. So how do you compare the a stand that happened in Nagaland and Manipur? I mean, amidst the violence, the current ongoing crisis for 1 year, the violence, poll-related violence that went on, we're still going to go on a repoll tomorrow. So what's your observation?
You see that whatever happened in Manipur by and large is very sad. This is the absolutely, I feel that government a very callous attitude. I believe that the governor of Manipur and the chief electoral officers and the advisors security,
right,
apparently they didn't take much serious note of this. You see that the mass people, their intention is that this election should not have been held at this juncture.
Right.
You know that more than 4,000 peoples are displaced their house and the families they have lost, many of them. Several stories are there.
True.
So it is an enforcement. By any means that the government of India wanted to have the election, what they call it, the constitutional obligation.
Right.
And the government of Manipur too, so what they can do it. Whatever the government of India orders and desire, Manipur government is ought to, since they belong to the same flock
right,
of their party. And this time, advisor security, he is the security in charge because he has been appointed by the government of India. If I am correctly understood, that the 355 article is either directly or overtly or covertly is being enforced, and this is securities, the responsibilities has been withdrawn from the Chief Minister of Manipur, which
That's right.
has been admitted by the Honorable Chief Minister. What do we learn? So now the entire responsibility and the blame and the happening and the happen and likely to happen, we will not be wrong to claim that the security advisor is responsible. Of course, CEO, the chief election officer or electoral officer, he is an important figure.
Right.
Definitely the advisor, security advisor, government of Manipur and CEO along with the IBs and the DGs and all the intelligence branches, they might have combinedly, they might have evaluated many times, I believe. But yet, this very ugly situation had occurred. You see, I'm being an elderly man, as a senior citizen. Just from my own personal opinion, I have also personal appeal. My appeal does not mean that it must be followed. No. But at least we people, we are sitting here, we are familiar a little bit about the atmosphere of this present situation.
Right.
This is against the people's will. So many things are expected to happen. We have cautioned it, we have requested the government, we have requested repeatedly. Government always remained dumb their ear. And same thing has happened. And it's going to happen more and more.
Right.
This is very unfortunate. Nagaland matter, as you said, Nagaland elections is most of the time it has been controlled by the underground people.
Okay.
In the rural places. Towns somehow rather, law and order, the control by the police. Somehow little bit proxy in the town is there, but in the other parts of in the interior of the Nagaland, it has been controlled by the underground and the Naga, the insurgency.
Right.
Mostly. The way in our Manipur, even in the outer periphery, outer parliamentary election, as I understand, I came after 65 years in my own home.
Okay.
So what I see that it is also Manipur also outer parliamentary is being controlled by the underground groups. That's what the talk and that's what the happening is.
Right.
So the free and fair election is very difficult to say that we really follow the Indian, the free and fair poll is being held. So, and I'm very strange. Electoral officer or the returning officer who is the commander-in-chief of that particular polling station, he is being supported by a dozen of the armed personnel and
Central
he
armed
is being
forces.
guarded.
Yep.
In the presence of these 13-14 people, one section of people along with the self-loading rifle and AK-47, how some miscreants people could manage to enter, and the EVM is being damaged and EVM has been taken away. This is something ridiculous.
Paung Sonamani, I'd like to pick up from your point where where Paung Sonamani mentions about central forces guarding the polling stations. Even with those security personnel, how did these happen? Also, adding to that, Congress actually demanded for repoll at 47 polling stations. The Election Commission has granted 11 polling stations to go on repoll tomorrow. So how do you view at this, How do you view this situation?
About the decision. Well, I think it is pre-processed for us to actually imagine what went into that decision.
Okay.
Probably they would have assessed the polling officers' reports,
Right.
and then decided. And if people are still not happy, I think it should be considered.
Right.
If it is really a case of mishandling the polling behavior of people or people coming and voting for others,
Right.
those kind of things, if that had happened, I think it should be they should be repolled in everywhere that this has happened. It
Right.
should be clear in everybody's mind. There shouldn't be no doubt that people have chosen who they want to choose and not somebody else choosing for the people on their behalf. And that should be made very, very clear.
Right.
And as to how this has happened, I think it was also there are so many speculations. Again, it'll be a matter of speculation how that this thing managed to happen. But we did hear that there were problems brewing.
Right.
But none of us thought that it was going to be so bad, that it was not going to come in open, that there was some campaigns for people to vote for some a particular party and all that. But we didn't think that it would come forward. But also, what we noticed was the resistance of the people.
Right.
That you have people coming in and trying to manipulate the elections, and there were resistance, which seldom happens anywhere. Bihar, you know, the gundas come and take over, and then they just do what they want, and then nobody else is able to say anything. But here, the positive thing is that the people actually revolted,
Yes.
saying that this will not happen. And many of the EVMs broken were not by the people who entered,
Right.
but by the people themselves, because saying that if
Those
you are
are
not
fair.
going to take our vote, then we won't allow that vote to happen. So the repolling, probably many of the repolling that are being done are where the EVMs are broken.
Right.
And it's you know, we have to again see it from that angle as well.
Right.
That it's not the people coming in and breaking it, the miscreants coming in and breaking it, but the people themselves, the voters themselves saying that we will break the EVM if you don't allow us to vote as per our will.
Right.
And I think although it's a bad situation, there is a glimpse of hope in the way the people reacted.
Yeah.
And I do hope that when the repoll happens, no more of this thing is allowed to come up again.
Right.
And I think in the first case there was a lot of unexpected kind of thing, that you're not prepared for that for that to happen, but suddenly it came up all of a sudden, and probably that was one of the reasons. So I think now people will be prepared, security forces will be prepared. So I think the repolls hopefully will go as per plan and as it is supposed to happen.
Right, right. Tom Pradeep, to pick up from your point, Tom Pradeep mentioned about people coming out on open and revolting, saying, you know, let us, please allow us to vote for the candidates of our choice. In the process, let me also inform you, I'm sure you're aware of it, that an elderly person got bullet injury, and apparently a lady was attacked on her neck. Unknown miscreants attacked her on the neck, and in fact, not just political parties, but various sections of society actually condemned the violence. Like even BJP Manipur Pradesh president came out condemning the violence, and many others condemned the violence. In fact, last night, I'm sure you've heard of the convener of Imagi, Maira Sujata's house being attacked, and unknown miscreants. There was a sit-in protest. We are covering the story as well. So how do you look, to pick up from Tom to this point, how do you look at this revolt now from the general public? So is this the way forward that we're looking at now, given the current crisis, which I mentioned earlier, is going to be a year in less than a couple of weeks from now. May 3rd is close by. So post election, post the government formation, are we looking at something positive? Do you think the violence will end? Were we waiting for election? For actions from central government? How do you think?
I think that first of all, I condemn what has happened, and the persons who were injured,
Right.
and especially the old lady who was injured in such a way that she was totally traumatized, I could see. And I think that the people reacting to it is natural.
Right.
It has to come out, because as you know, the Maitei society, we are in one sense all activists.
Right.
We have an activist blood in ourselves. One thing I am very what do you call, ponders my mind, that did the Election Commission of India did a assessment of the whole polling stations? They must have done it. And why the security advisor or the intelligence
Right.
did not declare many of the polling stations were as hypersensitive? You see.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, vulnerable. And according to that, what usually happens, the protocol which we have been seeing is that the deployment of troops are more, where in some areas where there is 20, if there is hypersensitive, there are more than that,
Right.
50, maybe 60. So, was there an intelligence failure? This is what it ponders my mind.
Right.
And the other thing is that if it is the intelligence failure, was it deliberately done? Is also a question which I think we need to ask.
Right.
And I think that there should be a proper court of inquiry being done, and we should, because this is going to set example for the future polls. You see, if we don't do something like this, if we don't do any drastic actions like this, I think those people who have committed this crime will be, in fact, in one sense encouraged to
Right.
do it again and again.
They may repeat in the future.
Yeah. So I think in all the polling stations there must be CCTV cameras. I think those needs to be, you know, taken into and looked into, and people who have created just this, you know, such crime, their identity should be, you know, taken into account, and FIR should be launched. I think till now there has not been any FIR against any particular person, or any particular person has been identified. I think only one or two who have been caught. Apart from that, I think in general no FIR has been taken up in to identify these miscreants. So I think that the security personals should after the poll investigate and take appropriate action so that such things do not repeat in future.
Right. Montu, you also mentioned very clearly about FIRs not being filed, which is very valid point. I mean, like you rightly mentioned, if we let this go, things can happen, things can be worse in the future in fact. Also, Montu, please continue a little bit on how do we look at the ongoing crisis that started on May 3rd. The current election, according to you as a social activist, as, you know, someone who's had, you know, who've had relations with different CSOs, for example, what are they saying to you? What are your thoughts on the election process itself? Like I mentioned in the beginning, many sections of society actually didn't want the election. Like SONAMANI also said, it is not the right time for election. Many people commented all over the countries that, you know, in Manipur, election is not the right time. But being part of the democracy, many others felt that, you know, we should in fact, you know, take part in the election. All said and done, election is over now, first phase at least. So now, how do you look at this election versus the ongoing crisis that started on May 3rd?
I think this crisis is very deep rooted, because I see different interests. Even if you see the larger, you know, larger perspective, what is the interest of the US? What is the interest of China in this whole, you know, turmoil going on? What is the interest of India, and what is the interest of big businessmen like Adani and all, who are building lots of, you know, business ties with Myanmar, and lots of projects which has been going on.
Right.
I heard that in one of the reports from the UN, what do you call, United Nations, I forgot, there was a report where it says that more than $450 billion have been, you know, pumped in to Myanmar to, you know, do such kind of activities, to, you know, give support to arms rebellion which has been taking place. How far it is true or not, but we see that there is some interest of the US, we see that there is some interest of China, and the impact which we are having here is, I think, I do not see a bright future, because we have come to such a juncture that I don't know whether the Maitays can go back to Churchampur
or More,
because in fact their homes are all been bulldozed.
Exactly.
So even if they can go, where will they live?
Right.
They have to start the whole building up their house, this, that, and it is vice versa. Even the cookies, how confident they will be to live here. So I don't think this situation will be ending in a short period of time. It will take, I think, more than 5-10 years. I think beyond that.
Right.
Beyond that.
Right. I'll take Montu's lines to Pabung Sonamani. Pabung Sonamani, like Montu mentioned, it may take long time. The wounds will remain there forever, even if it takes 10 or 15 years to, you know, come to a little kind of, you know, manageable situation. But the wounds is going to stay there forever. Pabung Sonamani, right before the election, I'm sure you're aware that there was again attack, Hairok area. We've seen oil tankers being attacked, drivers injured. Now they're on a steering off strike. So even after the Home Minister campaigned in Imphal, things didn't change. Home Minister came, clearly said Manipur will be Manipur, and, you know, there's no external force that's going to damage Manipur's integrity. However, the attack happened, the oil tanker is being attacked, like I mentioned, and now the prices of essential commodities may rise if the burns continue. So, Pawan, how are we going to look at this ongoing violence and election still going on? Come June, do you see some positivity? Tom Montu is saying that it's going to take time for everything to settle. Come June, when the new government comes, be it the current government or new government, do you see some kind of hope for Manipur?
You see, let me confine to the present context,
Right.
and then just yesterday's incident.
Okay.
You see, the poll was held and conducted against the will of the people.
Right.
By and large, people of Manipur, we were not, we are not very happy that we are forced to, go for the poll. This is
Right.
the general people feeling.
Right.
Somehow or other, our people mindset is quite different. It's a majority people we were opposing it, but when the Home Minister of India, when he visited,
Right.
then suddenly the wave was changed again. Then again the poll mood again came. The people and the ladies, particularly our mothers and the sisters who were opposing vehemently, they were vehemently, maybe they were guided or maybe they were told to behave. Our Merapaibis, then our sisters, then the CSOs, all Merapaibis, all Imam, all of them were opposing. After the Honorable Home Minister visit, completely that wave was totally changed again. Now we are in the election mood now.
Right.
Election is being conducted, as I have seen personally in many occasions. It is being very meticulously, it is being planned. Intelligence departments, several suggestions are being taken into from various sources, from subsidiary intelligence bureau, from intelligence bureau, from special bureau, from the special branch, from the state, then again the crime. There's a lot of things, but a lot of agencies, their opinion, suggestions, they discuss in the length and breadth. Particularly they headed by a DGP. Now the advisor security, apparently he has been attributed to look after the security from withdrawing the power from the Chief Minister of Manipur. This is what the 355 article as
Right.
per these norms. And as we learned, the Honorable Chief Minister, he admitted in person that 355 is being imposed. So it's now matter is very clear. Now advisor security, he is all involved. Advisor security, he is being the representative of the government of India, sidelining the Chief Ministers, although he is the head of the government. So he must have discussed in length and breadth with the various departments. But how these things has happened? They must have discussed that whether it will be a poll will be in a systematically without any harm, without causing any problem, would be held or not. This should have discussed in length and breadth. Chief electoral officers, then again the DGP, then again the governor of Manipur and the advisor security, they are the key people.
Right.
And along with the government of India, they must have discussed with the A.K. Bhalla, the Home Secretary and others. All of them must have discussed in many times. Did they not feel that Manipur is a trouble-torn area? Did they not feel that there are so many vested interested groups are here? They are also with the arms. Did they not feel that Manipur is not at all a very congenial atmosphere prevailing it? Since the hundreds of people are being butchered, there can be anything, there might be anything like so many people in their black dresses, their muffled mask and everything roaming around in and around when the government of Manipur cannot control it. We as a senior citizens, we have also appealed to the government. This of the situation is unlikely to be a peace poll.
Right.
You would like to look into it. We appeal it. Our appeal doesn't mean that he should take as a gospel truth. No. At least we people, we discuss, we are sitting here. At least some respectable persons are left and right with me and others so many. The government should have paid attention from the various agencies that these are the things. So many elements are here in Manipur. They are along with the arms, unauthorized arms and the authorized arms. So many things are people are roaming. Their interest is different. I am afraid that it might not have been designed by some vested interested people to block. Now the question is, every poll, as I apprise to you, minimum the 14 personnel, one section headed by one Havildar with the appropriate arms, ammunitions, SLR or AK-47 and RO. or the returning officer.
Right.
He is the main man.
Right.
He is under the directions of the CEO and the government of Manipur. He is the king of that, particularly of that booth.
Right.
When such kind of elements or some unwanted antisocial elements entered and misbehaved and tried to damage the EVM, what was his role? Did he ask the police personnel to apprehend immediately? Or did he seek the help of the police personnel that, no, you immediately, you shouldn't allow it? Or did he ask that how he entered and how they entered?
Right.
Or he became just as spectators, then how the police personnel can do it? He is the all in all. He is the king of that small island for that particular day.
Right.
He is a responsible man. And if he fails to order, or if he fails to ask the police personnel to come and assist and arrest these antisocial elements, then it's okay. If he has not issued any order, just remain as spectators and allow them to happening is what they feel like. Then the arrow, these people be fixed.
Right.
Why the uniform personnel alone? If the uniform personnel, if they have violated or slightly if they have delayed, to execute the things, then the police be put behind the bar.
Right, right.
Now the questions remain the CEO. What is his instruction? A very important man in this election, CEO. As per his direction, everything is supposed to move.
Correct.
Now the inquiry be made and see that in future, even tomorrow should not happen such kind of unpleasant things.
Right.
It's happening again. This is our prayer to the God.
Right. I think majority, Pawan Sonamani, I think majority of the society, echo your sentiments because, like I mentioned, oil tankers attack, and then right before the elections, the security forces were withdrawn for the election purpose. If the security forces hadn't been withdrawn, the oil tankers attack perhaps would have been averted. Now, after withdrawal of security forces for the election, to ensure there's free and fair election. The election was not free and fair. Like Pawan Sonamani said, there were just mute spectators. The security forces were mute spectators. Pawan Sonamani, those are very valid points that you raised. Tom Pradeep, I'd like to draw your attention to another angle. The former UK Prime Minister David Cameron, he recently raised the Manipur issue. I'm sure you're aware of it. How do we look at this? Has the Manipur crisis finally reached the international arena in somewhat serious matter than previously, So how do we look at this? How do we study this?
Well, I think this thing has been happening all along. The EU also made a statement and all that, but from a wrong perspective.
Right.
And that is where lobbying comes into the picture. The people who have to go and lobby there. And then I asked people, prominent people to speak up, and then the issue will become known. But I don't think it will create any big ripple.
Okay.
The EU resolution also didn't create that much of a ripple. Manipur is a small place. We have to realize that we are a small place, and we because we sometimes what happens is we think we are the center of the world, which is not the case at all. And from that, I'm not saying that we should be too humble, but then at least know the situation and then try and tackle the problem from that perspective. Then you will know the reality much clearly, and if you know the reality clearly, then you will also know the solutions to that particular reality. But if you imagine something which is not there at all, then there is no solution at all.
Right.
The solution will never be effective. So I think that kind of thing has to be there, and the Manipur issue is okay, some bit of a ripple here and there, but there are so many things happening around the world, and Manipur will be just one amongst them, and not even the biggest. The biggest will be Ukraine, and even Myanmar. Myanmar is neglected to a great extent.
Yes.
Nobody. I mean, you see Joe Biden every now and then speaking about Ukraine, but you don't see that happening in the case of Myanmar.
That's correct.
Or in the Middle East, you saw the friction between Iran and Israel.
Yes.
But those are the ones, because the West also thinks that the events that can influence them, that can influence their own well-being, are the ones which are important for them. So Manipur is out of that map altogether, the security map of the West. So it'll be just a token kind of a presence that we have there, even if we lobby a lot. I mean, it's not going to make a difference to them. The only thing that Manipur, what is happening in Manipur will be important, was written by was actually analyzed by somebody called M.K. Bhadrakumar.
Okay.
He's a former diplomat and also a think tank analyst.
Okay.
And he has said that Myanmar is important for China, and they are building highways. They are building they are even planning to build a railway line, fast bullet train across Myanmar, so that they can reach the Bay of Bengal
Right.
easily. And also they have a oil pipeline. And Myanmar is important because for China there is no way to the Indian Ocean
Right.
apart from Myanmar, Pakistan and all that. And or else if you go by the sea, you'll have to go by the Malacca Strait, which is a detour, big detour. And also the Malacca Strait is under the control of the US. So if there is a friction between Myanmar and the US, Malacca Strait can easily be blocked off, and they will be away from the Indian Ocean. And the Indian Ocean is important because they are resource centers. Africa to the Arabian Peninsula has to be through the Indian Ocean.
Right.
So they will do anything to retain Myanmar as a friend, whoever is in power. And when that happens, the reaction is for the West to also start thinking, because China at the moment is seen as a major rival of the West,
Right.
of the US especially. So they will have some presence there. So this is what M.K. Bhadrakumar has written. And US is actually present there in Myanmar, but by proxy. They are also providing arms and resources to the various rebel groups who are not close to the Chinese. And the Chinese are also doing the opposite. They are also by proxy or by direct intervention. They have a big presence there, and which is one of the reasons why India decided to abolish that FMR. We think that India is doing it on behalf of Manipur, which is not the case at all. They are thinking in terms of the larger geopolitics,
Right.
the FMR and the border fencing. And then before this, if you remember, there was an act being planned to have the forest clearance, the necessity for infrastructure development along 100 kilometer
Right.
across the borders,
Right.
which meant that they want to take over. The Indian government wants to plan or build a military establishment or build a highway through forest within that 100-kilometer radius. They don't have to take forest clearance,
Right.
which was protested by all the northeast states, including Manipur, and except for Arunachal Pradesh, they were welcoming it.
Right.
And the thing is, if you have 100 kilometers radius along the border, it'll cover the entire state. So the central government can do anything without any forest clearance and all that. So, but the point that I'm getting at is that India's response to Myanmar is affecting Manipur all along the border, FMR as well as border fencing and all that, as well as when China has a strong interest in Myanmar. US will be interested, the West will be interested because they are rivals.
Right.
So they will also start thinking of the Quad to surround China and all that to make it difficult for China to reach the Bay of Bengal. This is just part of geopolitics, what they call the great game.
Right.
So in that great game, we can become a pawn. That's what Bhadrakumar was writing. And many of the weapons that we see coming into Manipur, he was mentioning, are not ordinary weapons. It's not also not just AK-47, which is Chinese, which can be Chinese origin, but also the M16 and the M4 rifles.
Sophisticated ones,
Most of M4 rifle is the current issue of the US,
Right.
which is one upgrade of the M16. So he's saying that how are these weapons coming in? And if you remember when Bertil Lintner came here, when we posed this question, he said these could be coming from Thailand, because Thailand is using American weapons and all that. So what I'm saying is, we have to also look at a larger canvas. We cannot just be confined to Manipur and see everything in terms of Manipur. Whatever politics that is unfolding here is not Manipur-centric.
Right.
Sometimes it can be actually part of the larger canvas of geopolitics, and Manipur is affected.
Right. Very, very unfortunate, in fact, Tom Pradip made some very valid points. To pick up from where Tom Pradip left, Montu, the bigger countries, be it China or the US, like Tom Pradip mentioned, they invest in countries where they, to put it in layman's term, being selfish. they expect something out of those investment, like Tom Pradeep mentioned. So I'd like to also continue with Mantu by quoting what Bimol Lakoism said, coming back to the poll related violence. Bimol Lakoism said, and I quote, "Today's assault and threats to the people are not carried out by cookies. Such an act is totally uncivil." That's what he says, and he says, "I will never yield." So we saw various videos on social media platforms and even on on news channels. He was very upset. If you've seen, he was on top of his voice fighting with a top cop. So putting all this together, how do we evaluate this election? Of course, we are doing this against the backdrop of a year-long crisis. How do we evaluate, keeping aside all this poll violence that occurred? Candidates like Bimol Lakoism has come out, the INC candidate, saying that he's not going to yield. It is not carried out by cookies. Using the term cookies, I'm purposefully mentioning this twice or thrice. He says it's not carried out by cookies. He's targeting, the INC candidate is targeting the opposition.
No, I think what he really meant was that that's not only Oja Bimol's sentiment. I think the sentiment was felt by everyone.
Right.
The point is that these unfortunate incidents were carried out by our own people.
Right.
That is the Maitai population, which we belong to. And I think why he was shocked was because he was the one who felt the most blood,
Right.
of the whole violence, poll violence. So I think he was emotional regarding that thing, that it was not cookies but our own brothers, Maitai brothers,
Right.
who had committed. So I think that his sentiments has been felt, and I think we all felt that. Coming to the whole situation and the way forward, I think the 22nd poll should be free and fair.
Which is tomorrow.
Yeah, which is tomorrow. And I appeal to everyone that it is our own people which we are going to select.
Right.
You see? He is not a cookie, or he is not a Naga, or not a Bihari or UPI. So I think that let there be a democratic space for all to come up and exercise his or her rights.
Right.
So I feel that, and I think I will just supplement with what you were asking Tabo Pradip regarding the David Cameron's.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think the lines which he was trying to prompt was that that the situation out here was something like a religious kind of thing,
Right.
that Maitais or the Hindu major population against the Christian. I think that notion has been
Exactly. That ship has sailed long back.
Long back.
Yes.
And even the US ambassador to India has
Yes.
also categorically stated
Yes.
that it's not. So I think that trying to color it
Right.
into religious ground, I think that it is high time that they stop poking their fingers
Right.
here, and I think that it should be solved
Well said.
within ourselves.
Well said, Mantu. Well said. Only in the interest of time, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I know, Paung Suramni, you have to be elsewhere. You have any final thoughts?
No, you see, my friend Mr. Pradip also said about the David Cameron.
Yeah.
You see, this is very unfortunate. This is the religious affinity.
Yeah.
And this is one section of people who is trying desperately to, harm and to capture and to destroy and to divide Manipur into pieces. They are lobbying it. There is a one word called the crowd-funded. These people are very, very powerful. They had been camping in the United Kingdom and in the America, in New York and Washington, and they were pursuing it. Even, see, the American Baptist Church Council, one of the most powerful organizations in the world, so powerful in all respect. They have been, giving the wrong narrative, picture more than months together. Even in the United Nations, they wrongly painted in a different way. Fortunately, our young, our brothers, they could manage to go. Although we are late, our government is quite different, because we are very, we are very limited people in the Manipur, we are very limited people.
Yes.
But this, on the other side of these people, they are very peculiar, they are very far-sighted, because their intention is to grab and to disintegrate the Manipur and to have a separate country. This is their aim. So their approach and our approach is quite different. So American Baptist Church also, they also interfered. Even Rishi Sunak, the present Prime Minister, he was forced to employ or to engage one lady, the Biona Bruce,
Right.
Biona Bruce, the Fiona Bruce. She is an ambassador, she is an envoy, she has been engaged that such kind of, when problem arises, she should interfere and she should look into it.
Right.
So she created another problem. Ultimately, she had to withdraw it
Yes.
when the real things came
That's
out.
true.
So this crowd-funded people, they're so powerful, they will lobby it, they will do it, and they will see to it that one day Manipur is splitted. This is the effort. And our government, India government particularly, and Manipur government, Manipur people, we particularly,
Right.
I think we must, I think we should be, so we should be united, and we should vehemently protest in all respect, and India government should pay attention.
Right.
And apparently the government of India is little distance
Yes,
at this juncture, and they do not want, they do not want to see that Manipur, remains in a peaceful state. Should the government of India, or if she had taken little pain, this the suspension of operation, these people
Right.
could have been handled, could have been asked the arms to surrender, then the Manipur tension could have been doused to doused
Thank you,
fire.
Paul. Thank you, Paul.
But unfortunately, government of India is a laxity,
Right.
and they're not very keen. I said they're not very keen to solve
Pong
this
Sonamani
issue.
says the government is not keen in resolving the issue. Pong Sonamani, sorry to interrupt you.
Very
Only
unfortunate.
for the want of time. Tom Pradip, final words.
On this particular thing, I also have some opinion on the idea of the conflict, and also my disagreement with so many of the speakers here as well as outside, including the Congress candidate, where I like him very much and all that. But when he said it's not a cookies, but the
Yes.
Métis is attacking me, you're already othering a section of the population of Manipur. Is all we are fighting. There are fringe elements on both sides,
Right.
and we should be also speaking on that in that language.
Right.
If we want a larger reconciliation, it has to be we. It's a fight amongst we, not they and us. I think that they and us should be abandoned if we want this conflict to go, and if we want a very happy kind of ending to this very huge tragedy, that everybody who has been displaced, they can come back to their own villages or their own homes
Right.
and settle down. Even if they are broken, the homes are broken, you rebuild them. Homes can be rebuilt, and there are so many lives lost. Those unfortunately cannot be. For that, we have to be going through that exercise of forgetting and remembering, and also forgiving. That kind of the truth and reconciliation that Nelson Mandela talked of.
Right.
I think it is time for that, and we should not be all engaged in this talk of us and them.
Right.
There are, as I said, there are so many people who know that we are bound together by a common destiny, the geographical destiny as well as the political destiny. But there are fringe elements who are creating the trouble, and they should be made to understand there is no way out. There is no way that that the kind of separation that so many people are talking about cannot happen. I'm not just saying it. There are so many scholars who have said it. The Robert Kaplan, for instance, the Revenge of Geography, where he talks about geography as a destiny, that you have a common composite geography. Anybody who tries to break that geography is creating trouble. And he, as well as Halford Mackinder, he's got another book called the geographical pivot of history, where they were talking about most of the wars, most bitter wars, were actually determined by geography. We're seeing this in Kashmir as well.
Right.
And Kashmir is important. We've been talking about Muslim and Hindu and all that, but Kashmir is important because of the water. And all the 5 rivers of Punjab, which actually fed the Indus Valley, including in the Indus River, it becomes 6. all of them are actually originate or pass through Kashmir. So
True.
anybody who controls Kashmir controls that
Yeah.
entire civilization. So I have spoken to so many people in Pakistan where they were also saying, there's a unarticulated civilizational threat.
Right.
You feel a civilizational threat if all your water sources are with somebody else. So I think the best thing is for Pakistan and India to become friends, so they can share just as the Indus Water Treaty of 1960.
Right.
And that kind of treaty maybe you modified time to time to see to cater to each other's need. And the same kind of principles should apply to any conflict resolution here in Manipur as well. That there are certain things that we cannot break, certain destinies that we have to acknowledge, and then start the story from there. Not just othering each other. That us and them, the stories from both sides.
Well
I
said,
think
Tom.
these should be abandoned for once.
Well said, Tom Pradeep. Yes, only for the want of time, we'll have to end it here. So, Tom Pradeep, Paung Sonamani, and Tom Montu, thank you, gentlemen, for joining the Manipur Files today. That is all we have in this edition. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, goodbye.
Thank you so much.